aware of WHO and UNDP and all that basic data, it's a still shocking story. How many mothers shedding tears from their eyes because of the lost child? Simple thing. No open defecation, washing hands with soap. These little bit things can save. And there are instances that 7362, what is that? This computer. Okay. So 2.2 billion still lack. Nearly half of the global population do not have access to safe sanitation. Nearly half of the whole globe. Then 2 billion people do not have access to hand washing facilities with soap. Washing hands with simple water doesn't help. Because those bacteria and all that virus or whatever, they are all there in an oily mess. So, you know all that because you guys are expert. Washing hands with soap and rubbing. There has been a lot of training and ideas and everything, but still that is going on. These are unfortunate, simple things. We are not interested. We want to go to complex things and very complicated and this and that. But the simple things can make miracles. Then still 419 million people practice open defecation. Imagine 419 million people. Fact. JNP data of the last two years before, isn't it, Priyanka? 22. Must have reduced a bit. But again, there are instances in countries it is increasing. Because of the refugee movement, because of the, IDB, internally displaced persons, all that, and civil war and all kind of things, This is also happening. Okay. Now, okay, 10 countries with least access to safe drinking water and sanitation. Let's see who are the 10 countries. Countries with least access to safe drinking water. Niger. Terrific. Close to 60%. Then Papua New Guinea. 60%. DRC. Are there people from DRC here? No. Okay. And Niger? I don't think, from the region, maybe mostly Nigerians. Okay. Chad. Ethiopia. Chad is very, very high. Ethiopia, Eritrea, Somalia, Uganda, and Angola, and Mozambique. These are the top countries with the least access to safe drinking water. And countries with least access to sanitation, least access to safe sanitation. It is Ethiopia, Chad, Central African Republic, and Madagascar, South Sudan, DRC, Democratic Republic of Congo, Niger, Togo, Benin, and Uganda, with the least access to safe sanitation. So, imagine mostly these are all in Africa and Eastern Africa, Western Africa also, but the story is really bad. 401 million people in Africa still lack basic drinking water service. In 2020, that was the story. Basic. 411 million people in African Union lack basic drinking water services. Ethiopia 58 million. DRC 48 million. Nigeria 46 million. How many of you are senior government officials of Nigeria with the planning, investment, access to water, sanitation and all that in the finance ministry? Could you kindly raise your hands? Nobody, huh? Finance or anybody, you know, I mean, those who are responsible, raise your hands, those who are responsible. High up, sir. Accept the failure. Accept it. Tell a Nigerian that it is me. It is me, that's why you are all getting diarrhea. Thank me. Give me a reward. Why? Because as a public, you are a general public, I'm powerful, more powerful than you because I'm in the ministry. I'm holding some position. I can still do something, but I'm not doing it. Yet I'm paid. You know, so we have to think about that way. Taking the responsibility is no harm because that will open the door for the future. You can go ahead. Truth will come out. But if you deny, no, I do my job. Truth will sort out. Truth will sort out. It will never be in there. Accept it and say, well, this didn't happen. Let's see how can we make it? Okay, so Nigeria, 46 million people still lack access to basic drinking water. United Republic of Congo, no, United Republic of Tanzania, 23 million. Kenya, 20. Is there any Kenyan? It's only Nigerian, this conference, or it's a region? Yeah? Lagos. Oh, it's only Nigeria. Yeah. But even then, the whole of Africa is here. Are there any people from Cross River State? You are there. So that's one state which is fairly far clean. No shitting in the bush, not much. Jigawa, Jampara, Kanu and all places are horrible, you know. Is there anyone from the northern states of Nigeria? Raise your hands. No, raise your hands. Oh, there is a gentleman there. There is a gentleman there. Are there? Okay. Yeah, there you are. And more? Okay. Give a hand to them. Give a hand. Tell them shit more. Shit more. And tell them that bring Nigeria on the top of list of open defecators. It's number 2. Shit more and make it number 1. Do it, man. Follow us. And don't encourage the Cross River State. Because they're the minimum number, you know. They said, no. Eat more and shit more. Nigeria is at least we are topping the list of open defecation. Okay, so this is a story. And we have limited access. But if you look at government of Nigeria spending a lot of money on water, still, but you are giving them clean water, safe drinking water. They don't wash their hands. They mix it up and spreading. So again, the question of hygiene behavior comes in. So that's where you have to invest. You have to educate people. You have to empower community. So this gentleman, sir, you don't find it interesting. You want to support open defecation. That's why you are leaving. He's leaving. Far away, but you know. He's running away. He said, well, tomorrow morning, if I have to do, he knows that tomorrow morning I have to do that. What the hell this guy is talking about? Where do I go tomorrow morning? Anyway, so this is a story. Kenya, okay. Now, 208 million people in Africa still practice open defecation in 2020. 208 million people. Well, I come from India. That was the headquarters of open defecators. Only 10 years before. But you know, have you heard the name of Narendra Modi? Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of India. When he assumed power, he said the first thing, no open defecation. It's a disgrace. India has made so much, sending man on the moon and so much of IT and all kind of things. But open defecation, this is the headquarters, global headquarters of open defecators. He said, this is not allowed. And it was So much of importance was given. Money, funding, everything. It's a different story. In 5 years' time, any one of you have visited India to see that? Did you visit, sir? Okay. So, but many Nigerians I know on official assignment visited India, interacted with the government, senior government officials, and they have seen it. And I was also involved in bringing people from countries in Africa and South and Southeast Asia to visit. So if there is a political will, it is possible. If there is a political will, and if the community is mobilized, empowered, you can do it. That's what India has proved. Bangladesh has proved. Many other countries have proved. And in Africa, some of the countries like Kenya has really done a good job in some of the areas. Tanzania did that. Lesotho, Swaziland, and what BNLS, Botswana, Namibia. Wonderful small countries, all surrounded by South Africa. South Africa, they have done great job. But all again, the political will and involvement of the community. That was the key. So, okay. So 208 million people remember, and 200 people practice open defecation in 2020, and Nigeria topping the list. Nigeria, 38 million people still defecating in the open. JP report of in 2020, 2024 years before. But maybe something has changed. Ethiopia, 20 million. So Nigeria, 38 million. Ethiopia, second. Less than Nigeria. Less than half. 20 million. Niger, 16 million. Madagascar, 12. DRC, 11 million. And rest of the region, 111 million. So, that's the story. 839 million people in Africa still lack basic hygiene services. Again, Nigeria, 130 million. Ethiopia, DRC, Kenya, and all that. So the country is going to miss the SDG, the Sustainable Development Goal, by 2030. Those who are going to 100% miss this are Benin, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Chad, Cote d'Ivoire, Guinea, Mali, Niger, Nigeria, and Somalia. Isn't it a sad story that our country, Nigeria, we are going to miss SDG by 2030? Isn't it unfortunate? What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Is it a good news? It's a sad news. We still have how many years to go? 6 years to go. You can still make it, very fast and come close to it at least. It all decide, if these are the people in the whole of Nigeria who matters most in water and sanitation than anybody else. Am I correct in saying that? Somehow or the other they are connected. So if you guys decide and take a serious stand, it is possible. And then what important message for the government and WASP professionals is emerging from the present WASP scenario in Africa? Hello? Okay. Is that mobile phone? Yeah? Is that yours? There. Was that your mobile phone? Okay. Mobile phone is again defecating in the open and listening to the music in the mobile phone. This is a new development, People get it even more fun in that. Yeah? So remember that. So the data clearly indicate that areas that need, one is balanced sanitation strategy for VAS. Is the cornerstone. A national sanitation strategy of Nigeria, if it says that after the next 2 years, absolutely no state with more than 10% opentification. No. That national sanitation strategy is strict. Things will change. Has to change. And that national sanitation strategy is the cornerstone. And what needs to be done? A balanced strategy can only ensure sustainable development in Nigeria. A balanced sanitation strategy. How many of you are involved in strategy and all that activities in Nigeria? Raise your hands, please. There are people on strategy. Anyway, you know them, you work with them. Maybe they are in the senior positions. Maybe not all of them are here. But what is a balanced strategy? What do you mean? See, now these are very complicated, nice presentation, but I won't be able to show you. But I hope the organizers will be able to share it with you. So I'm skipping that. Sustainable was strategy. What should be there? Dependence on external aid must be reduced. Government of Nigeria, from the public exchequer, we do our own thing. It's UNICEF, UNDP, World Bank giving money, and I shit and you give me money, doesn't work. It's my job. It's my money. It's my government's, interest and political will. That has to be there. And does it follow a smart approach? Simple, measurable, that smart approach. And time-bound, etc., etc. And capacity and skill. Capacity building, skill building. In the past, it was all subsidy-oriented. Government used to give them all hardware subsidy. From there, it has been seen that hundreds and thousands of toilets are not being used. So it has moved into community empowerment, behavior change. For that, training is needed. Government officials, frontline staff needs to be trained. And partnership. Today also it was being discussed in the morning very seriously. Partnership with public-private partnership. It's not government's job alone. Private sector investment, public sector, private sector partnership, that is very, very important. I don't know how that is happening in India in reality, in Nigeria, but that is. And then human excreta as a source of fuel. Human excreta is not a problem. Many countries in the world, they have, Kenya and many others, they have been using human excreta as briquettes, as fuel. Many countries, they have been using it as manure, fuel, gas, methane gas. So it is getting money out of it. Do you know, is there anybody, these kind of examples in Nigeria? Do you know any? Where human excreta is being used for a gainful, opportunity for earning some money, either methane gas, cooking gas, or lighting, or briquettes for fuel, or even manure, blocks, and then sun dry and etc., and send it to different people, places, farmers. Anyway, so these are some of these things which are very, very important. Okay. When sustainable waste strategy, it has to be sustainable. Otherwise, one way government money or private sector money you are spending for sanitation, it cannot be sustainable. Because money has to come. The private partner, public partnership is very important. And then using human excreta as gold. There are papers, a lot of work has gone in. It's called liquid gold. Shit is called liquid gold because it has its value. provided you can use it properly, using all science and technology in there. Achha. Now, can we kick off a national campaign after this workshop? If you agree with me, make sure that from this hall, I'm coming all the way from India, me and my colleague, the young colleague, Priyanka Jaiswal, she is there. Priyanka, show your face to everybody. Stand up and show your face. Yeah. She had visited at least 20 countries in Africa with me, training, educating people, talking about this, community to community, different places, and maybe more than 60 countries across Asia, Africa, Latin America, and working on this. If you decide, all of you, that before we leave this conference, hello, sir, I'm going to finish now. Before you all leave this conference tomorrow, if you all take a promise that from this hall, we will go to the organizers and we will say that let us begin a national campaign of totally eliminating open defecation by March or April 2025. Are you with me? Are you willing? Yes. Those who are willing, raise your hands. If you raise a voice from this hall, it will be declared, campaign will start by tomorrow's concluding session. Raise your voice, bring it to the organizers and tell them that from this hall, otherwise it will be rhetoric, just a talk, somebody coming from India, somebody coming from other countries, talking big. You guys are there, this gentleman with a tie and everything and jacket, sitting there, everybody talking about shit and going back, business as usual. Tomorrow, same number of people in the bush. Yeah? You call it or what is that? The shit is called what? Huh? Huh? Igol. No. Shit in Nigerian. Huh? Ish. It's again that ish story, ish. So it's everywhere. If you are a true Nigerian, hello. If you are a true Nigerian, and if you love your country, hello, madam. Madam, hello. Serious business, no, you sit down. Only one meeting, please, only one meeting. Not two meetings. If you are a true Nigerian, if you love your country truly, raise this voice. Tell the organizers or the governor of Lagos who came or something like that, who will come for concluding session. Tell them that we are all decided from this room of small gathering that we are going to declare that campaign of totally eliminating open defecation from Nigeria by the 6 months of 2025. Will you do that? Yes. Those who are willing and willing to work hard, raise your hands. There you are. That's the nationality. That's the nationality. That's what our country in India, we did. I told you the highest number of open defecators were in my country. The political will picked up. It came. Leadership of the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, and things went on. Okay, so 7362. Okay, so if you are there, or this is one, you decide, make a national campaign, declare it tomorrow, or do the same old story. Business as usual, back to your own state, open defecation, go there, light a cigarette and shit in the bush. Choice is yours. And thank you very much. Thanks very much.
Please a round of applause for Dr. Kamal. Carl. I'm very sure you all enjoyed that presentation. So while we ask Doc to take a seat, I would like to call out the panelists. We want to go into the panel discussion now, and then we want to hear from the mouth of the experts, and then we take a resolution as people. Please, if you have an empty seat beside you, can some able-bodied men help me to bring 5 or 6 seats forward so that we invite our panelists forward? Permit me to call on Honorable Saad Olumo to kindly step forward. Is he here in our midst? Honorable Saad Olumo. Okay, it's not here. Can we have Architect Sanusi Mekudi to kindly come? Let's welcome him with a round of applause. I need more volume on this. Thank you for honoring us. I also like to come forward Mr. Adedayo Mark Adeyemi. Is he here with us? Adedayo Mark Adeyemi. Thank you for coming. Let's welcome him with a round of applause. Our panelists are eminently qualified wash specialists. I also like to welcome to take his seat, Engineer Adesoji Adeyemi. Let's welcome him also. And finally, I would like to call, this side is empty. Maybe Engineer Adeyemi will come to this side. I would like to recognize the female gender. I'm a gender-sensitive person. Mrs. Okpara Chizoma, is she here? Is she here with us? Mrs. Okpara Chizoma. She's not. Okay, thank you for that information. Can you kindly represent her? I would like to feature you. Let's welcome her with a round of applause. Please come forward. Don't be shy. Let's bring her up with a round of applause. Thank you very much. I also like to bring forward my sister there. Please, I forgot your name, sorry. Please come join us so that this, don't worry, I will stand. I don't need to sit down. I've been sitting all morning. Let me appreciate all of us for your patience. We'll just do 10 to 15 minutes of discussion and then we'll wrap it up. We have had a lot from Dr. Carl. I'm sure some of us must have traversed this Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Immediately after Baga, there is a big signboard which says, "Shit business is good business." If you have seen that signboard, please raise your hand. Yeah, very good. So we are here to discuss shit business. Now, without wasting much of our time, I would like to, can I have the second microphone, please? Technical people, are they on seat? Please help me to put it on so that it can rotate around the panelists. We have heard so much about how India migrated from being a heavy open defecation leading country to become one of the leading open defecation free country, which is what our country is also, aspiring, to become. Nationally, there is a national program. We have a deliberate policy of open defecation-free initiative in this country, and many local governments have been declared open defecation-free. Some are still in progress. But I would like to ask Architect Sanusi Mekudi, What infrastructural investment strategies do you think have proven effective in improving water and sanitation access, particularly with respect to, the challenge that we have about this open defecation thing is that many of our public toilets lack water. So, can you please educate us on some of the infrastructural investment strategies that has worked that we can take to our home states? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. Before I commence, I want to thank the presenter because his presentation was very rich, very informative, well articulated, and excellently delivered. Thank you on behalf of the audience. And I also want to congratulate members in attendance. Part of the presentation was that we know we have problems about poor sanitation of two categories. One, partial service, where you have something, but it's not adequate. And you have other places where totally there are no facilities. And one of the perspectives he gave was looking at the opportunities of looking at the byproduct of the human waste, using it as a potentially economic resources from which valuable things can be extracted. But I want to talk about the other side of the equation. That is, what is Nigeria losing due to poor sanitation and hygiene? The records put it 450 billion naira per annum. So somebody should use his calculator. Take 450 billion, divide by 200 million. That is the economic loss that Nigeria has to pay for poor sanitation. That's just one indicator. The ideal productive potential of citizens that contract waterborne, water-related diseases, they have to go to the hospital and they will not be at work. If your teachers are sick, if your security men and women, if our civil servants, if our health personnel, any citizen who falls sick due to poor sanitation and hygiene, he has to go to the hospital, consume expert medical manpower, medicine, and lose man hours that can be used to develop the economy. So from any perspective, you look at it, fixing the poor sanitation and hygiene challenge is a duty that must be done. The presenter asks us to indicate hand, showing our commitment to make a difference. I want to stress that it starts with me. Every individual should be a change agent. How can you be a change agent? You can be a change agent, one, by learning more about the international best practices. Learn from India, Brazil, Europe. Learn from the southern countries of the world. Try to get the best practices, knowledge, skills, ideas, whatever you can deploy. And then when you come to infrastructure, the Nigerian water supply, sanitation, and hygiene system is skewed in favor of water supply. You have water treatment plants, pumping station, reservoirs, transmission line, distribution line. How many sewage treatment plants do we have? The state I came from, Kaduna, we have a water utility with 530 million liters water treatment installed capacity, starting in 1920s. But in the whole state, we don't have a single sewage treatment plant. We used to have 3. All of them have broken down. The Kaduna refinery quarters, they have a sewage treatment plant, is down. Ahmadu Bello University started in 1950-something. has a sewage treatment plant. It has collapsed. Then there is during PESTAC, Nigerian Festival of Arts and Culture, when Nigeria got a lot of money and they decided to sing and dance instead of invest it. People came, there were emergency housing estate. They had systems. Those systems are down. So, and when we are going to invest in infrastructure, we should look at the behavioral nature of our people. In Kaduna Water Utility, we built more than 4,000 user units, that's toilets. But we lifted the facilities beyond the accommodation. So people were coming to remove the pittings and take it to their houses. The hand dryers, the mirror. So if you are going to design something, it should be comparable to the level of the neighborhood. Don't go and bring something exotic, something fantastic, something that will attract people to say, this thing will be better in my own house, in my own office, than in the public convenience facilities. So these are my own suggestions. And facility infrastructure costs money. It costs money. And public debt now, domestic and international debt, is a political issue in Nigeria. Nigeria is spending over 90% of its revenue servicing debts. So I agree with him that we should not be saying borrow, borrow, borrow. Beg, beg, beg. No. The government must do its own duty. And unlike education, you know UNICEF have a global benchmark that we should invest 26% of the budget on education. Do we have benchmark for water, sanitation, and hygiene? Is there a global, regional, national, or local benchmark that what percentage of our budget should go to water supply, sanitation, and hygiene? I raise my contribution here. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. We're having issue with this. Sorry. Thank you so much. Let's give him a round of applause. I would like to suggest that our panelists stick to just 2 minutes to respond to each question. After the law, of course. Yeah, you are lucky. Mr. Adedayo Mark Adeyemi, I would like to throw this next question to you. Now, in terms of investment in the wash sector, particularly to promote personal hygiene and ensure that there is adequate water for ensuring an open defecation-free society, what are the investment financing strategies that you can recommend at the local level? We know the traditional financing models in which it is usually government-driven is no longer working now. There's less money at the center for all the regions to assess. So now, what can we do at the community level that can help us to raise financing for some of these local level facilities? Just as I said, you don't need it to be exotic. Can you please guide us in this wise? Thank you.
Okay, thank you, moderator. I just want to go straight to the answer because of time. First of all, you can't take government out of this because it's a public service. Water, sanitation, hygiene is not your regular business. That's number one. So government has a role to play. The presenter said political will. Many cases when the private sector wants to come in, when providence funds providers want to come in, even development partners, they expect to see some signals from government. Good governance, enabling environment, and commitment. And when they don't see it, they pull back. So for water, sanitation, and hygiene, the government must take the lead. That's number one. Then number two, if you're talking about financing strategies, it's going to be an hybrid financing strategies. Basically, the sources of finance, it's these 3 T's: taxes, tariff, and transfers. Tariff means that most of these public utilities must operate, sustainably. Taxes means that government must put money. Now, there's a confusion. Whenever we say government should put subsidies, government people behave as if they are losing money. Actually, subsidies are your taxes. So, and then the third one is transfers that comes from development partners, like I'm working on LUWASH, USAID, we come with grants and all that. So these three things must come in an hybrid form. One fund where the risk is highest, one fund where the risk is moderate, one fund where the risk is low. The government still has a role to play in terms of subsidies, and then in terms of tariff, where you identify business case, and this brings me to Lagos. Lagos has enormous business case. So we need to put forward an hybrid financing mechanism where you can recoup your money, the private sector comes into it. Where it is difficult to recoup your money, the government works with private sector, provides subsidies, or helps the utilities to operate efficiently. If we can combine these three together in an hybrid framework, then balancing risk, balancing interest, balancing returns with political will, I think we should be able to get some results. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now, since I was a kid engineer, I've been hearing this terminology called political will. And I always ask myself this question. If political will have not driven us to where we want to go, when are we going to start having the political action? And honestly, until we begin to act individually, collectively, we may not get it right with SDGs. Leading me to the issue of sanitation and personal hygiene. You see, the sheet is generated locally. How many of us agree with that? So what that implies is that the solution has to be local. Engineer Soji, can you please, from the engineering perspective, educate us of some innovative engineering solutions that can be applied to local level in managing this water and sanitation problem?
Thank you very much, everybody. First of all, I just want to thank Dr. Carr. It's my first time of meeting you. I've been working with your CLTS policy for the last 15 years. And I've understood that we have to start from somewhere. Initially, it's just about covering the shit. And then you move up the sanitation ladder as you go ahead. But technically, there's a limit to how much we can achieve in terms of improving water and sanitation. I don't want to go into the government side. I'm actually looking at the legislative side, because we need both the technical aspect and the legislative aspect to be able to make these things work. Let me just give you an example. I've spent the last 10 years developing Lagos WASH policy, which was just approved last month. In those 10 years, I did not get paid. I wasn't interested in being paid. I just wanted to give my service to ensure that this WASH policy is approved. And now that it has been approved, the engineering aspect can now start coming in. So I'm just trying to say that, part of this innovation just has to do with us making up our minds how we are going to approach this sector. In Japan, for example, we found out that there was a study that was carried out. There was an innovative toilet that when you finish in the toilet, it breezes you, refreshes you, in many, many ways. And men stopped urinating standing up, because every man wants to sit down too and get refreshed. Yeah, and get massaged. Do you understand? Yeah, exactly. So that's how a technical innovation can actually change the behavior in which we know where we do things, So even from the local level, as a water engineer, I spent all my lifetime trying to come up with innovative solutions, especially for water treatment, because virtually all the things we need for water treatment will require pumps. Pumps are imported. We cannot, up till now, after almost 60 years of independence, there's no company in Nigeria that can manufacture a pump. That's the truth. So, as an engineer, we've spent my lifetime designing gravity systems, for example. I'm talking about water supply, where we will design it in such a way that the water flows into the place by gravity and you would not need a pump. The same thing for irrigation and then also for sewage treatment. So when people are looking for, how can we modernize stuff? I'm like, how can we adapt stuff to our local environment? And I think that's supposed to be the starting point, as an engineer. For sanitation, of course, it's extremely difficult because what you need to do essentially is how do we make the people realize that by coming up with a certain minimum solution, people will get incentivized. Like compost, for example. If people realize that by collecting their shit, especially when it's very fresh, and carrying it to a certain place, they can get paid, and the thing becomes organic fertilizer. That is an engineering solution. It does not require, something really technical. So all the sewage treatment plants that I design or that my company designs, we always ensure that it's not just for us to just treat waste and carry the sludge. We always want to make sure that they are integrated wastewater management facilities. So these are the kind of innovations that we try to ensure we do in the wash sector.
Thank you very much. That makes Nigeria a gold mine in which we have not even started tapping the shit gold. They call it liquid gold. I had that today. So my sister, can you please tell us your name?
Okay, my name is Ebube.
Okay, good. Ebube, can you please, all of us agree that water and sanitation is a female thing, mostly. Even though the two gender, male and female, we all need water. But women are more particular that they need water for almost everything, particularly with respect to hygiene. Between the male gender and the female gender, who do you think is cleanest? The female will vote for female, male will vote for male. Abi, who do we think is the cleanest between the male and the female gender? The female, the way they are structured, they need more. Now, Ebube, can you please kindly throw light into how we can really help our female gender to really be able to leverage on some of these locally available technology that can help them overcome these wash challenges at the local level? Because the truth is that what we have been doing over the years has been government driven. We want to begin to go into a scenario where people at the local level organize themselves and solve issues. I see communities now drilling community boreholes, just to serve the people and make sure there's water available in their communities. So how can we empower the female gender to be able to also organize themselves? Nothing says that women groups cannot drill borehole. They can provide water at the local level. Let's have your thoughts, ma'am.
Okay, thank you so much. So, with regards to women, in any situation, today we're talking about defecating openly. I think even with climate change, I think the change starts with us. It starts with each individual. So if, as a lady, I go speak to another lady, and that lady speaks to another lady, all of us just, gather ourselves, we pick a community, we go observe what the problem is, we speak to the women there, they tell us what their problems are. We can actually go there, engage the community, and bring change to them. It can be something as small as just, you talked about drilling a borehole. It can be a well, just digging a well for them so they have access to clean water. I have a friend who works with women across Africa, and she says that in certain communities like in Kenya, women sell their bodies just so they can have water to clean themselves. Women sell their bodies so they can have access to sanitary pads and all those kind of things. So we don't have to wait for government. We can do community engagements. Just gather ourselves together. I work with an NGO, Green Fingers, and what we do is we go from community to community, seeing what we can do. Today we went for climate change. We went to educate students on climate change, flooding, and all those things, plastic pollution. This is what we actually do. So it's just to come together. It's no big deal. It's nothing big. We write grants to get finances and sponsorships, but we can actually just come together as a community and just go from one community to another, drill wells and all that, and just make that just easy for women to have access to clean water. Thank you
very much. Please give, ma'am, kindly introduce yourself to.
Okay, my name is Bolo Atitwawe.
Okay, that's good. I remain yours sincerely, Adeyinka Shugowale too. Please, I would like to point our attention that the matter that is taking the front burner right now is this cholera outbreak. And we know that children are the most vulnerable. Now, what advice do you have for all of us? I don't want to say our mothers, because naturally we will say mothers are the one in charge. Fathers go to look for money. No, the narrative needs to change. Everybody should be concerned. What advice do you have for us to be able to protect our children, from these menace? And what direct intervention do you think we need to do now so that we are from different states of the Federation, so that we take this home, because this is the front burner right now?
Thank you very much. This has been pointed out in several of what we discussed today. Dr. Carr mentioned earlier the things that have to do with cholera is majorly a sanitation and hygiene issue. Over the years, and like we've mentioned, even in the breakout sessions, water has taken most of the attention, and then sanitation and hygiene is sidelined. We need to bring sanitation and hygiene to the front burner. When we think of sanitation and hygiene as an issue, it affects women the most. Open defecation affects women the most. Sanitation, in that sense, has to do with dignity. When women don't have decent places to excrete, or we're all sanitation people in this room, so I can freely say shit. When we don't have decent places to shit, then we are exposed to danger, we're exposed to harassment and other things like that. So it affects us the most. Even in terms of hygiene, apart from cleaning your body, as women, we menstruate, and we also have to think of menstrual hygiene management. So we need water for those things, but we also need, for example, I just went to the restroom here, the female restroom. Before I entered, there was water. However, the restroom here, I carried my bag into the toilet, and there was no place for me to hang my bag. I needed to change my tampon. There was no place for me to place my things to be able to effectively do that. But it's a modern toilet. At the local level, we're already thinking of how we can make toilets for schoolgirls to have these things, to be female-friendly toilets. So these are the technologies and innovations we need to be thinking now, not just at the local level, but also at the big level. And when we are thinking of cholera, we need to be thinking about, okay, how can we make sure that people get this knowledge? You just need to wash your hands, and you need to keep your food safe. There is this F diagram where it shows how, we get shit from the fields into our mouth. this is what is causing cholera. So if we have ways that we can break the barriers or insert the barriers to prevent the poo from, going to wherever it is to entering our mouth, then we can say that, okay, we can prevent cholera. Once it starts somewhere, it just keeps going. So we need to think of how we would provide these facilities for hand washing at strategic points. We need to think about hand washing at the critical times, before we eat, after we've gone to the toilet, after we've changed a child's diaper, when we play with animals, or after we touch a sick person. These are the ways that we can contact these pathogens that would, let us now have cholera. So think about hand washing at all times.
Thank you very much. Let's appreciate all our panelists with a resounding clap. Dr. Carl also, let us appreciate Dr. Carl and his colleague. I'm quite happy with the robust discussion that we have had. Now, how many of us are familiar with the TV program, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? How many of us? I know I watched it a lot. Okay, good. So I'm now at a session where I call Ask the Audience. Okay, I hope you know that that's part of the Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. Now, I want to call our attention to something very important. How many of us know or have noticed in this country that in our highways there are no public toilets?
Yes.
Not on the bridge, oh. Don't put toilet there, please, before people start using it as a springboard to jump into the water. Our highways lack public conveniences. This is a serious problem. Now, the question to the audience is this. I will just give one person the opportunity to answer it. At the local level, please, who should build the toilet? If we want to end open defecation, who should build the toilet, and explain why?
Yeah, my name is Emmanuel Dibohazia, an engineer by training. From the discussions we have, we are narrowing it to the community. But in actual fact, it's an essential service. The government has a role. Why I say that the government has a role is that most of the communities we have are impoverished. I come from an area where people hardly find food to eat. So, in as much as we appreciate the fact that, look, this is important, this is important, this is important, you might not have the will. We're also talking about provision of water infrastructures, provision of water, and people having interest in only water and not looking at hygiene and sanitation. I can tell you for sure, these discussions are merely academic. I stay in an area, for you to get water, the least distance you can cover is 3 kilometers. And that's a stream. And if you are drilling a borehole, the least you can get to get a producing aquifer is 250 meters. So we are talking about 750 feet, or not less than 720 feet. So you need resources to get water from the ground. So we are left with no other opportunity than to face the act of nature. So in as much as these issues are coming up, strategies has to be designed. The community can come in when the infrastructures are there for maintenance and protection. The community can come in. The issue of awareness can also come in, because you need to tutor, you need to lecture the community on the need for some of these hygiene practices. I was talking with Alaji earlier, and we are looking at issues critically. Issues should be tropicalized. The Lagos environment is so nice. I have an experience here in town where we have a spring, water coming out. Nobody is pumping. And if you take the water for a test, the kind of result you get is amazing. This water has been coming for the past years.